you're great at your sport, you may possibly be the best ever, but it doesn't last forever.
You went from playing with Dak Prescott, competing at the highest level, to then working a construction job and being a bud tender.
I was playing football, making great money, and then I'm literally digging dirt, cement on my face. That's where I got really, really humbled. Everything could be taken away in just one snap.
Is it also true that you have to sign off on your limbs? What's the average salary for the CFL? What is your identity? Are you happy?
Got to meet Andy Reid, and what's funny enough is he was eating a cheeseburger when I met him.
Most athletes want to disassociate from their sport completely.
What an athlete really needs to do is...
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of You Only Died Twice. I am your host, Warren Ward, and today I am joined by Arjen Colquhoun. Arjen is a former defensive back for Michigan State, where he is a Rose Bowl champion, a former NFL player. He played for the Dallas Cowboys, as well as a former CFL player. He played for the Edmonton Eskimos, as well as the Toronto Argonauts. In this episode, Arjen exposes the realities of professional football and walks us through his transitional journey. But before we start, the best way for you to support this podcast is by liking, commenting, subscribing, and of course, sharing with a friend. Now, without further ado, let's get into it. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Welcome. You all right?
Yeah, man, how's everything?
Good. We'll go upstairs. So that's exactly what we're doing.
Exactly.
Here, everything that's on the mannequin looks like, yo, I need that.
I actually want everything that was on there.
Everything that's on the mannequin. We got this orange sweater downstairs. I just see this. So, out of all the sports you just mentioned, basketball, baseball, track, you decided to pick the most violent one with the shortest career.
Yeah.
So what drew you to football?
You know what? If someone could actually go back and say, like, and tell me that all these injuries would happen, I'd be like, okay, maybe I'll reconsider. But I don't know, man. I just had a passion for it. Like, I loved baseball, but it was too boring, too slow. And for some reason, I felt like if something would have happened, I would lose passion in it real quick.
Right.
Basketball, I felt like I was a good athlete, but real raw.
Okay.
I just felt like football kind of just something about it. It's just like it's a man's sport, like it's war. You're out there, you're going man on man, and you're playing ball. So I thought that I'd have a great career playing baseball, but I thought football. Honestly, it was first love. It's first love.
So you're basically saying I'm not a man because
I'm not saying you're not a man if you played any other sport but football, but I am saying come on the football field.
I think I'll pass. No. I played in grade 9, took a hit, and that was the end of my football career.
We like to say football makes basketball players. That's what football players like to say.
And we like to say basketball players make volleyball players. So it's there you go.
So there's an escalation of
for sure. Now Arjen, you're so used to winning. Like if you Google your name, everything comes up. You've won in high school, you won in college. How did all those achievements shape your outlook on success?
I think it kind of just came up. It gave me a standard. Like, I think there's a standard in life, right? To be number one. I think that's what everyone's striving to do.
100%.
I hope everyone's striving to do that. So, I think when you're winning and you're constantly winning and you're realizing that it's not for everyone. You have to do something that people aren't doing, and yet if you want to go somewhere you've never been, you got to do things you've never done. And that's kind of a quote that always stuck with me. And I think that's when you think about it, like winning, it's the process of winning is just a routine. It's just doing the same thing, being meticulous, attention to detail. That's what winning is. There's no formula or rhyme to reason to winning. It's just doing the right thing at the right time consistently.
And do you find that? Like I find that winning is hard because it's a lot to do with timing, and you're on a team that ends up winning, and this is your chance to go ahead and brag. So tell people, what have you won in your career? High school.
Yeah. Well, yeah. In high school, we won the 4x4 offs. I've won offs of basketball. I've won offs of football championships. Going into college, we ended up winning the Rose Bowl championship, the Cotton Bowl championship, 2 Big Ten championships. And yeah, so what I would say, what I would say is just like, I don't know, even from a young age, coming from Herman, like a perennial high school football team in Ontario, I just saw the same correlations or same things characteristics that I wanted to be a part of at Michigan State.
Right.
And I kind of saw what I wanted to be. And I saw myself there. I saw the team. I saw the chemistry. I saw the coaches actually cared. And I think that's what drives winning. Good people and good culture.
And that same mentality applies to your life now.
Yeah. Honestly, it does. I think, yeah.
And during your stay at Michigan State, you were a 4-year player there, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And then after Michigan State, you decided to go pro.
Yep.
So what happened?
I did my I redshirted at Michigan State, did my 4 years there. Started my last year, the full season, and it was great. Got off to a good start. Was getting recognized by a couple NFL teams, Dallas Cowboys, Washington Redskins. I was going on visits to like Kansas City Chiefs.
Nice.
And just getting to go to the facility. I got to meet Andy Reid, and what's funny enough is he was eating a cheeseburger when I met him. He actually had surgery on his leg and had his leg up, but that was a cool experience. And it's like, wow, like
you're in it.
You're in it. This is the big leagues. Like you're going on visits to meet these coaches. You're going to dinners.
What position did you play?
I played defensive back.
Okay.
So yeah, you're going to dinners with executives of teams, and they're telling you like, hey, you need to run this, and we'll draft you. You need to jump this high, and we're going to consider you. So there's a lot of pressure right off the bat, just going from college into the NFL.
Yeah, but not many people get to do that from Canada. So you were obviously one of the elite people to go from here to over there.
One of the few. And with that, in that sense, there was a lot of ambiguity. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know how to process this. I didn't really have anyone to lean on to kind of be like, hey, how does the draft work? Like, where should I go? It's me and my parents, just deciding.
And they don't know.
And they don't know. So we're just talking over, like, which team should I go to? So I ended up getting a couple calls in the 7th round. Didn't end up getting drafted.
Okay.
But signed a undrafted free agent deal with Dallas Cowboys after that. So I went to Dallas on like a $10,000 signing bonus.
Right.
And it was cool though, because Tyrone Crawford, he's from Windsor, Ontario, defensive tackle.
Yeah.
He was the captain of the team. He was there. So I was like, man, this is perfect. I have
a Windsor guy.
Exactly. So like I say, like good people brings good results. So I was like, why wouldn't I go where someone that I know is already on the team and can kind of, show me the loops and show me around and show me what I got to do to be a professional.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, got into camp. I think we were in our 3rd or 4th preseason game. Same game Tony Romo got hurt his back and was done. Started announcing it right after that game.
Really?
Yeah. I was going to make a tackle in the 3rd or 4th quarter, ended up tearing my shoulder. And yeah, it was a shock. I was like, dang, like this is my dream. My shoulder's literally hanging off. I'm like holding it up by my wrist. I'm like, I can't go out like this. So I tried to go one more play with it, like a torn shoulder, and the guy knocked my hand down, and I never ran off the field so fast. And that was kind of how the career went. And it was kind of, it's tricky though, because when you think about it, they want you to get back to health, and I'm not knocking the NFL for this because I think it is a business standpoint, but I do want to make this clear for athletes too, that when you get hurt, like their goal is to get you out there as fast as possible, like get you healthy, or not even healthy, get you good enough to play. So, of course, when I tore my shoulder, I'm thinking I could get back in a couple of weeks, I'll just, rest a little bit, get back. And I talked to Tyrone Crawford, and he's like, man, if you're really seriously injured, don't go back out there on the practice field, because the second that you say you're okay or you're good to practice, you get cut, no money, bye, see you later. But he's been doing it for 7-8 years before I even got there. He's like, if you're really hurt, you're supposed to sit out, you get an injury settlement, and you get paid out for the year. And that's what I ended up doing. after I got the MRI, it was actually like a grade 3 tear anyway. So needed reconstructive surgery. It was a whole year process.
So you couldn't play either way.
Couldn't play either way. But if I was to, like, this is the thing. Good thing I had someone in my corner there, because if I didn't, I wouldn't have got anything. I would have went out there on the practice field, probably re-injured my shoulder again, and they would have sent me home, you know, because I would have been under my own free will. But since I got hurt in the game and did that whole process,
Interesting.
Yeah.
So is it true that if you sign a training camp deal, let's just say I'm a rookie, I get drafted second round, I sign a $20 million deal, okay, and I get hurt in training camp, and I get seriously hurt, ACL, whatever, and they cut me, they don't have to pay me?
Well, you could see it's changing now, right? When you look at contracts, even NBA and now the NFL is starting
The guaranteed money.
But
does that start in training camp?
I honestly don't quote me on it. I want to say yes, it starts before training camp.
Okay.
And when you have like your first 1 to 5 draft picks, like first round to 5th round, those guys are there.
Yeah, they're guaranteed.
They're guaranteed. You know, you're going to pay them and they're going to get their money. But it's like the guys from the 7th round and the undrafted guys that you're giving a contract to and you're guaranteeing, oh, you're going to make this money, $300,000, $500,000, whatever the salary might be. But you end up getting hurt, and they try to get rid of you at any way possible. So yeah, they'll cut you, or like I said, the injury settlement thing that probably happens to a lot of guys where they don't know the rules or don't know the fine lines of the NFL and end up missing out on some money.
So you go from Windsor to the NFL, you actualize your dream, and it gets shattered like that through injury. What was that like mentally, and what did you do afterwards?
Yeah, man, I was a little broken. You know. Injuries happen, and we know that in football, right? That's part of the game.
Yeah, what'd you say? You said it's not if you get injured, it's when.
Yeah, it's not if you're going to get hurt, it's when you get hurt. So, and everyone's out there playing hurt. So, I was a little bit torn, man. I was going through it. Like, my dreams was just done. Next thing I know, I'm packing up, and I'm on an airplane back to Michigan to get surgery, and I'm home. So, but I think as an athlete, you always have that competitive spirit in you. You're always thinking optimistically when you get injured. So, you know, I wasn't really thinking like, oh, poor me. I was more like, okay, surgery's in a week, rehab starts, you know, it's time for the comeback already. And this is 2 weeks after I got hurt. So, but I think that's like the competitor in athletes and why we do the sport.
And is it also true that you have to sign off on your limbs?
Yes, yeah. So in
crazy.
college,
that's absolutely insane. What do I do? My right pinky, left ACL.
So coming in, like I told you, I was undrafted. So obviously the process is, you know, you get there for training camp, right? The first 2 days is usually just meeting the coaches. They put you through a physical. You know, they're pulling on your shoulder, pulling on your arm, making sure all your joints and ligaments are good. And they look at your recent history, like your recent medical history. And I tore my shoulder. So they did a little surgery and they said, it's a little shaky. We don't know. And I told you I tore my right shoulder, but in college I tore my left. So before I could even hop on the field and play for the Dallas Cowboys, strap up, I had to sign a waiver saying that if I hurt my left shoulder, since it's already been hurt before, they don't have to pay me anything. There's no money guaranteed. There's nothing there's no, it's not on them. They're not liable. Good thing I hurt my right shoulder.
Well, so, not a good
thing.
But
not a good thing, but
we'll take it.
We'll take it. Yeah. Good thing it was my right shoulder that got hurt instead, you know, and it's just crazy to think that like sports teams are, you know, waving off your limbs. Basically, there's waivers on your ligament.
If I were to take my injury history, I don't think I would have ever played in the NFL. If I'm being quite honest. So you got to play in, you know, a few games in the NFL before it was over. Did that experience playing with Dallas? Did that satisfy your itch? Like, did you feel successful in what you had accomplished?
No, not at all. I wanted to just get back. I was like, I need to get back to the NFL. I need to get back stronger. I need to get back better. What it did, though, is give me the confidence to think that I could be there and that I belonged. And I knew that it was going to be a long road to get back. I knew I would probably have to go to the CFL after I got hurt. And yeah, I was ready for it though, and I thought the experiences in Dallas would make it better.
Right.
Yeah.
And you end up playing in the CFL after. Mm-hmm. So you recover from your shoulder surgery.
Yeah.
You end up playing in the CFL.
Mm-hmm.
What was that experience like?
It was different. It was good. It was a mixed feelings, right? I was obviously still hurt about the NFL, but excited for a new scenery, new team, new goals, new vision. So I thought going to Edmonton was probably the best thing for me. They ended up drafting me in the second round of the CFL draft in 2016. So in 2016 they drafted me, but I didn't go there till the next year after my injury healed up in 2017.
So how does it work? Like, you were already in the NFL draft. You can enter the CFL draft too?
Yeah. So basically,
you put yourself in there, or they asked you?
I honestly don't know how it works.
Okay.
I wish I could tell you. I just know, like, they were like, you got drafted by the Edmonton Eskimos second round. But I was like, I don't care. I'm in the NFL. But you care that next year. You know, I cared that next year a little bit more when I wasn't a part of the Dallas Cowboys and I was going to Edmonton to play for them. And man, it was a tremendous experience. Just being out west is really cool, and they're really nice people out there, and they love their football.
That was your first time going out there?
That was my first time ever being in Edmonton or being out west, and I loved it. It was a good time.
Nice.
And I played some of my best football too. I came in and started as a Canadian, and that's rare in the CFL to come in rookie season and just start. I think they wrote something in the newspaper. It was the first time it happened in 25 years to have a Canadian rookie starting in the CFL for the Eskimos. So
interesting.
Well, Elks now. Eskimos when I played, yeah.
Oh, they're the Elks now?
They're the Elks now, yeah.
Huh. I find that so the Canadian Football League doesn't start Canadians.
Rarely for their first game. You know, you like when you think about it, you have a lot of guys that are coming from the OUA, so or coming from CIS, just call it like university in Canada's, and it's not as competitive football. It's not competitive football compared to the NCAA. So I think now what you're seeing is a trend of Canadian players that are going to NCAA colleges, Division I colleges, and then if they do get drafted, they just come back and play in the CFL, and they're obviously way better and prepared.
Right. So you're someone at the top of your game. You're playing in the NFL. You're playing against multimillionaires, and then you go to the CFL. And like, I don't care what no one says. You want to get to the top of your sport because you can build a life, and you can build a life financially.
Oh yeah.
Can you do that in the CFL? Like, what's the average salary for a CFL player?
The average salary is probably when I was playing, it was about $55,000. It's probably about $65,000 now. You can build a life playing in the CFL. There's a lot of guys that have played 10 plus years, 8 plus years. Perfect example, one of my buddies, Hinoc Mwamba.
Yep, I know Hinoc. Played against him in high school in basketball.
Yeah, see? So
and his brother.
Yeah, he had a great 10-year career. So, guys can really make a life of it. But, sports doesn't last forever. It doesn't matter how, it doesn't matter. So you can definitely, what I would say the CFL does is you can get a great head start in life, and it puts you in a great position. And I think you could use that platform to better yourself. But I don't think, you can't make a living off CFL. You can't play in the CFL for 10 years and then
be good
and never have to work a day in your life. I'll tell you that. I'll tell anyone that right
Especially
now.
for an American, because that exchange rate is insane.
Exactly. And I think it's crazy, like when you're playing the NFL, you're obviously making millions, or, they're making hundreds of thousands. Like the majority of the players are making hundreds of thousands.
For sure.
And then you look at the CFL, these guys are playing for $65,000, to go out there and play 21 weeks of football, deal with injury, deal with their own personal adversity in their heads and what's going on. And so, and I think about the Americans, I even feel worse for them because they're getting $65,000 Canadian and then living off that for 6 months and then having to go back to the States. And so you're basically paying for free. Right, you're playing for the love of the sport at that point. Mm-hmm. But what it is everyone's working for that goal to get a shot at the NFL or make a life in the CFL.
Yeah. Does that happen? Do guys go from the CFL to NFL?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of guys. I've seen a lot of guys transition, and that's why I do love the CFL, and I think it should be here forever, and they should even try to work more with the NFL because guys get that second chance. It's almost like not like second chance but it's that second chance. If you got hurt, you have somewhere to go and work on your craft. And a lot of great guys have came from the CFL and went to the NFL.
And you in your journey, which I found so interesting when we spoke at the coffee shop, you talked about you went from playing with Dak Prescott, competing at the highest level, to then working a construction job and being a bud tender. So how did you do that? I know you played in the CFL.
Yeah.
And then,
well, COVID hit, right?
Okay.
COVID came, and I think everyone who was ready for COVID, right? Like no one.
Yeah, I was well prepared. I had the mask.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I got vaccinated.
So I already had a couple booster shots.
Yeah, but, way before.
Yeah. So everyone was shook up by COVID, and obviously sports was a big deal.
Of course.
You can't go to a sporting event where you have 20,000 people in a dome
wearing masks,
coughing, yelling at each other,
and hitting one another.
Exactly. So. It shook up a lot of stuff for the CFL, and it kind of made them go in the direction of not having a season. So I just went from playing in the NFL, playing in the CFL I played about 3 years for Edmonton at this point, and then I signed to Toronto.
Oh, okay.
So I was coming to actually play my first year in Toronto, 2020, when COVID hit, and it was shocking. I was just like, okay, I have this career. I'm playing football. I'm getting paid great money to play football as well too. So I'm excited for the season. I'm making 100,000 plus. And then they, you get a call or they have a meeting on Zoom, and they're like, yeah, there's no season. There's going to be no checks for you guys. So basically, there's no money for me that year. I have stuff to pay for. I got car notes. I got phone bills.
Man.
And then that's when the realization hits, right? It's like, man, everything can be taken away in just one snap. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So my whole identity of being a football player and being this athlete, it was just stripped from me because of COVID, because of of a virus going around. I had to make money. I had to figure some stuff out. I was like, man, what am I going to do? And I think that's really when I started to focus on my journey outside of football or after football.
So you were forced to do that.
I was basically forced. So I had like a good realization that, like, man, if this could happen because of COVID, what happens when I'm done football or I get injured? Or, it just brought up a lot of questions that arised in my head on, like, what am I going to do? Mm-hmm. And what made me even think more about is the jobs that I was doing after. And like I said, I'm looking for a job. I obviously could coach, right? But I'm not really trying to be a coach. So I hit up my cousin, and he does construction. He's like, it's great money. You're getting paid $40, $45 an hour. But we're doing cement. We're up 6 a.m. in the morning. I'm on a truck, and I'm working till 6 p.m. And, it's crazy to think like a year ago, I was playing football, making great money, and then I'm literally digging dirt, like cement on my face. I'm working with guys, smoking cigarettes, drinking beers on the job. Mm-hmm. Nothing's wrong with that, but it's just
well.
I mean, if they're working on your driveway,
your house,
if they're working on your driveway, then it's a problem,
right?
But and they're like, hey, like Arjen used to play in the CFL, and it's like,
what are you doing here with me?
What are you doing here with me? Why are you next to me then? And it's like, man, like, and that's where I got really, really humbled, super humbled. I was like, okay, life, like I need to figure out this life game. I need to figure out this, what I need to do to be where I want to be after football. I ended up doing the cement job. I needed more money, so I ended up becoming a bud tender at this local weed store. I kind of learned a little bit there, learned a little bit about sales, learned a little bit more about just working in an environment with other people that aren't athletes too.
Yeah.
I think that's a big step for me, and probably for a lot of athletes too, because you're so used to having that like locker room type feel, and it's informal, and then you go into a different space, like a retail store or like a bud tending position where you're talking to people that you probably don't want to talk to or have to talk to. So I learned a lot just in who I am as a person, and just being, it was a humbling experience.
I think there's the what you're saying or what I'm gathering is that you had to there's a lot of acceptance in that. There's a lot of acceptance in going from where you were to where you are. And nothing wrong with working a construction job.
No.
I think what I'd love to see happen for athletes is that you don't think that's your only option. I think that there is a bit of an issue for me. It's like you should be able to go into a corporate job right away from playing football. You should be able to take your experience as an athlete and go into something else. You shouldn't have to be like, well, construction's my only option. Yeah. You know, and I think that there lies a bit of an issue in terms of what athletes believe their options are. I know for a fact it has to be hard to accept going from where you were to being up at 6 a.m. because I can relate. Like I know exactly what that feels like. Not the construction part, but doing a job I don't like.
Exactly.
You know,
and that's the thing. I would say it wasn't that it's wrong to be a construction.
No, it's great.
It's that it wasn't what I had planned for myself.
Yeah.
It's not what I had in store for myself or what I saw myself doing next.
Right.
And like you said, I think a lot of athletes, they fall into that scope of this is the only thing I can do. If I'm not playing sports, they find like a safety route and do that. And that's all they do.
Right.
They never try anything else. They never want to do anything else because they're like, I don't know if I can do anything else.
Well, you never have.
Yeah.
All you've done is football, off-season train, and if you're not training, you're probably going to lose your spot. You have to remain fast. Like it's real. I don't know what a 300-pound lineman is going to do when he's done playing football. Like there has to be something in place for that because it's like, what do? You've been hitting people for 10 years. Mm-hmm. You're going to go become, I don't know, it's a librarian or something.
Yeah,
like what do you do?
Yeah, and that's where I think it lies in just like you have that identity. You have an identity as an athlete, and once it's taken away, you don't know what to do. I think, like you said, there's really like a good year that you go through like this big transition, and like just how you act, who you are, who you're conversating with. I know you could attest to this, like. When you're playing a sport or you're on a team, you're with those guys all the time. Yeah. You're texting, you're calling, and then you see when the off season happens or, you go home. No,
Crickets.
You stop talking to the people. And I think that's another layer of why athletes get so affected by the transition too, because it's almost like when you work at a job and then you get fired from that job, or not fired, but you leave that job. You don't talk to those people anymore. No. It's highly unlikely that you'll probably talk to one or two people there. That's about it. Yeah. So it's the same thing for an athlete. It's like you're no longer a part of that company or that sport or that team, that organization. So you feel like an outsider now. You're on the outside looking in.
At the bottom. At the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah, and I think that affects a lot of athletes as well.
So what is your identity? How did you break the mold in yourself?
Well, naturally, I like to think of myself as like a really optimistic person. I have like a strong, positive mind, and I do like, it's cliche a little bit, I like to say, but I do like the yin and yang. You take the bad with the good and the good with the bad. Mm-hmm. And I feel like when you can always look at adversity or look at a good situation and find the good from it and find the bad from it, you can kind of realize what's actually happening, what's actually taking part. So that's kind of, I guess, why or how I kind of transitioned through this, through doing this. And another thing is just talking to people, networking with people, just telling them your story, getting to know them, and more not to get ahead, more just on like a personal relationship level. And that's kind of what transpired in me getting a job at MLSE in ticket sales, right? Like I wasn't like, obviously I told you guys I had the epiphany doing construction. So when I went back to playing football after COVID was over, I was already in this mindset of like, okay, I'm still an athlete, but now I'm moving differently. Like, you know what I mean? I'm realizing like when you're an athlete, you're just like, I used to be a wild boy. Like I do whatever I want, like come in whenever, but then I was like, okay, like this year I'm going to like show up early or like, be respectful to my other players and the coaches and just not be respectful, but like be a good role model, I'd say, is like, and lead by example, because I realized that there's jobs in this after football. Like I realized that I was doing an interview for the coaches of the team and the manager and the GM. Like every conversation with them was very important to me because I started to realize the different relationships that come after sports.
Well said.
So that was huge for me. So coming back into camp, coming back for the Argos, I was like, okay, like getting good with these guys, get to know the team better, talk to the staff more than you're talking to the players. That was kind of my goal. Talk to the staff more than I'm talking to the players. Mm-hmm. And from there, I kind of built a relationship with one of the ticket guys. His name was Mark Whitman. Shout out Mark Whitman. And you know, after I broke my ankle, I was like, man, I had a good relationship with him. He was a great guy, and I was like, I'm gonna ask him a couple questions about how I could possibly try to get into what he's doing and how he likes it, because he was basically doing ticket sales for the Argo players. But we became good buddies, and so gave him a call. He ended up referring me into this new, it's an inaugural program at that time. It was called the Sales Development Academy at MLSC, and it was basically an inside sales program. It's about a year, I think it was a year contract, part-time, and they teach you how to sell. Mm-hmm. So basically he said, hey, there's this new program. This lady named Brittany Pagnello is running it. Like, I'll put you in contact with her. So called her, had a conversation with her. Went well, and then I ended up talking to the president of I think the vice president of ticket sales, and his name was Mark Lear. He was from Windsor. Lo and behold, he's from Windsor. So, you know, obviously we start reminiscing. We start talking about Windsor, talking about our sporting careers, because he
like Tyrone Crawford.
He was a hockey player.
Okay.
That played overseas, and now he's the vice president of ticket sales. And, you know, he was looked out for me, looked out for a guy from Windsor.
There you go.
And kind of made that connection, made that relationship. And, got a job there. I ended up doing that inside sales program for about 3 months. It's a 12-month contract. I did it for 3 months, got hired full time. And, I've been working for the Argos in ticket sales now for about 2.5 years now.
That's amazing, man.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
It's crazy how you use your network to help you transition into a career path that you like, and one that you chose to do, and not and not by force. Exactly.
And I think like what attributes it is all the adversity that I had to deal with, like getting hurt, going through COVID in no season. I think if there was no COVID season, my mindset wouldn't have been there in 2021 to even be thinking along those lines. You know what I mean? So everything happens for a reason, but at the same time, you also got to be mindful of it. You can't let things pass you by. You know what I mean? Like I think it was a video I watched the other day, and it's like, if you were driving in a car and it's like, I asked you how many red cars drove by, could you be able to tell me? And it's like, probably not. No. But if you were looking for red cars, could you tell me? Of course. So those red cars are like opportunities.
But you're not aware of them, so you got to open up your eyes and see.
Exactly. Exactly.
I'm a firm believer that you serve your choices, and choosing to play football for how long did you play in your career?
Since I was 10, I'm 31 now.
Okay, so a lot of years.
A lot of years. 21.
And that decision is going to affect you the rest of your life. Like, talk about the physical toll you've sustained playing football. Like, are you in pain every day?
Oh man, yeah. I was just telling you earlier before we got on. I was in the training room yesterday, doing an ice bath on my ankle. Still, it's 2.5 years later, and I wake up and I'm limping. I have neck pains and that just comes with it, man. I look at my finger right here. It was dislocated, but it's a man's game, man. It's war. So, I don't know. I think every athlete, every football player at least knows what they're signing up for.
Yeah. And
knows what we're getting ourselves into. But yeah, being on the outside, being on the end of it now, it's scary, man. It's scary to think like you're taking years off your life. You're not doing yourself any good by, playing football that long. I don't think anyone's supposed to be getting hit like that.
How did it come to an end?
The ankle break. So I've had about like 3 or 4 surgeries, but I'm 31. You break your ankle, you can't walk, and I'm in Toronto by myself. My parents live in Windsor, and I have 2 dogs, and I'm like, man, this is not it at all. So kind of just do like, I guess, the injuries and kind of just being sick and tired of being hurt all the time. And, you go through it. But
the dogs have to walk themselves.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, go out. But, for athletes, it's what we go through, I guess, the physical pain. But yeah, I'm try to get treatment, but shoot, doesn't help.
Yeah. Reflecting on where you were, even in COVID, and what you said a little earlier, and where you are now, do you view your career, even though it was a small period of your life, do you view that as a success? Because I think, like, from my personal standpoint, that was a big issue for me, was just looking in the mirror and thinking that what I had done mattered, even though I didn't make it to the levels that I wanted to. Made it pretty far, but like didn't get to exactly what I wanted to get to, and neither did you. But do you still have that outlook of like what I did mattered, and like it was successful? Now I'm just in a different part.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think as an athlete, like, we always have that mindset that like it's not good enough. We don't
Nothing's
have
good
enough. Nothing's good enough. We're never there, right? So I bet you if you go to Tom Brady and say, hey, like, you lost the Super Bowl, I bet you he has regrets, and he's the greatest player of all time, GOATed. You go to Michael Jordan, I bet you he regrets shots that he missed. So what I'm saying is, even at the highest level of being the best, you have regrets. You have these things that you would call not successful, right? So I think as an athlete, we all go through that. So yeah, of course I wish I would have played longer in the NFL. Of course I wish I would have, made more money, or, of course I wish I would have, so when you think like that though, when you're an athlete, that's great, because hungrier dogs run faster. That's great. But when you're out of the sport now, yeah, exactly. But when you're out of the sport, I don't think you can really think like that, or as much, right? You're still a competitor. But you can't be so hard on yourself like that, because you can't think everything's a failure, and your whole career of what your whole body of work that you just did was a failure.
I know.
Because it wasn't about it. Like, that whole body of work was not a failure. I'm grateful that I got to play as many years. I'm grateful that I got to go to a great university.
Yeah.
I'm grateful that my family got to see me play and were proud of me. I'm grateful that I made a little bit of money in doing so, and got to buy a house or got an education, and bought a car. So I'm great, and I'm honestly, what I'm more grateful for is just the experiences of just meeting different people and going through different trials and tribulations. I think that's a huge part for people.
Are you happy?
Yeah. I'd say I am. I still work in sports, and even if I didn't work in sports, I'd still be happy, because I think that's just who I am as a person. Yeah, and I think that's just like my mindset. Like, self-talk is really important to me. Mm-hmm. Like, if you're in your head and you're like, you're stupid, you're ugly, you're dumb, like, you're not gonna do yourself any good.
I know, but it's hard to do. It's hard to. Like you said, it's so easy for me to point to. If you were to say, name 3 things that you don't like about yourself, anyone could say that really quick. Mm-hmm. Now, if you ask someone to say, hey, tell me 3 good things, they're like, well, it's like, it might take someone a little bit longer. So you're absolutely right. Self-talk is important, but it's hard to make that switch, especially if you still identify with the sport and you have, those regrets. Mm-hmm.
And it, like, what it all boils down to is just like, your thought process, and like building a resilient mind, having a never quit attitude. And my coach always used to say to me every day, I'll still remember this. He says, wake up every day with a fist fight mentality. Wake up every day like you're fighting for your life. You know what I mean? And things will change for you and for the better.
Yeah, that's well said. I don't know if I've done that.
I don't know if I woke up.
I don't know if I woke
up and just choose violence.
You know what I mean? Ready to go.
I'm going to choose violence today.
You spoke about something to me earlier, and it's honestly stuck with me like the whole week And as I was writing this, I wanted to discuss this because I thought it was so interesting. And it's like, I relate to it heavily. And you talked about most athletes want to disassociate from their sport completely. And I think about what I'm doing now as a broadcaster, like, I didn't do that, you know, and I got into broadcasting by chance. It's not like that wasn't what I thought I was going to do.
I'd say you're tremendous at it too, brother.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. But I got into broadcasting like off rip. Like it wasn't something that I kind of planned to do.
Yeah.
And I was like, shit, like I'm in my sport, you know, like I'm doing something different, but I didn't completely remove myself. Whereas other guys, as you said, they just want to say, okay, I'm done with football. I don't even want to like I can't watch football. Fuck football. Like I can't watch basketball when I'm up there. I'm watching every damn game, you know, and I feel no way. Like someone's doing something like, ooh, amazing. You know, like I find that so interesting. And you are someone who's decided to, instead of disassociating yourself, you've dove deeper into it.
Mm-hmm. I think, well, first thing you have to get over, like as an athlete, your first, I guess, initial reaction is to like push it away.
Yeah.
Right? Push away from it. But like for me, I think lean into it, because I think leaning into what you do, like if you loved it for that long and you played that sport for that long, lean into it and you'll find something within that sport. Like being a coach, being an athletic trainer, being a scout, being, you know, team ops, GM, whatever it is. So what I would tell athletes is, you know, take those, you know, take the experiences, take the lessons you've learned, but also take the time to kind of realize, like, what do I want to do? You know, I don't know. I think athletes need to just realize that, I don't know how to explain it. Like, I honestly, I'm like baffled a little bit on trying to explain it.
Take your time. We got all day. I ain't going nowhere. Go ahead.
Well, like disassociating from the sport is basically taking away from who you are. Is right. Is basically what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. You're taking a part of who you are and burying it. Right?
You only die twice.
You only die twice. Exactly.
You know, I mean.
So like, exactly.
Yeah.
You're taking away, but in the same sense, and that's why I love the name of the podcast.
Appreciate that.
Because you know why what we're doing here is we're talking about it. Because what an athlete really needs to do is take up that dug up part of them and bring it back up and resurrect it and use that part of who they are to build the next part of their life.
It's almost Easter.
You know what I mean? Exactly. Resurrect. Yeah. You almost got to resurrect yourself.
There we go, Jesus.
You know,
let them know. Let them know, Jesus.
Yeah. So like I said, man, I think when you disassociate, it's not good. It's not going to be, you're not going to put yourself in a good mindset. Yeah. I think dealing with it, leaning into it, realizing it, and just having finding that child love for the sport again will do many things for you.
What's your dream role? What's next for Arjen?
Well, dream role for me, honestly, I have two right now. Like two main goals in my head, and I'm kind of building my path to get there right now. But I would love to be a general manager of a team, or I would love to be an athletic director of a school. Mm-hmm. I would love to be like the athletic director of U of T. And I think there's a lot of stuff that we could do differently in Canada that we can almost like incorporate, or like kind of just the way we go about sports here compared to our counterparts in the US. I think there's a lot of lessons that we can learn and take from them and build a better universities, build better OUA sports or CIS sports, and put more money into it, build more school spirit. Scholarships. You know, there's obviously they're doing it the right way because it's generating money that pays for sports, that pays for scholarships, that pays for the facility and the faculty. So it's the same way. Why we have people here, we love sports here. Why aren't we trying to replicate that to where we can give kids scholarships?
Yeah.
Or we can fix up the U of T track, or you know what I mean? Open these new buildings. So I think if I was ever given a chance to be an athletic director, I'd make some huge changes And I think with the experience that I have, it would correlate really well. So end goal, athletic director, general manager, somewhere in the sports realm still though.
Okay. So fast forward, you are an AD, you are a GM, and we'll start with the GM role. I think that's great. So someone comes up to you now and they're about to enter their first 6 months of retirement. What are you telling that athlete to do?
Well, the first thing I'm going to tell him is to go relax with his family, like take some time for yourself, spend some time with your family. I think loved ones are very important when going through the transition, just being around them, right? Like for me, it was such a good feeling to see my family more often than I do, right? Because 6 months out the year, I was in Edmonton.
Yeah.
Sometimes I would live there, or, I was in Dallas, or I was at school. So for me, after playing football, this is the first time that I've actually had a chance to really see my family on a day-to-day basis, to be honest with you. So I would tell an athlete, like, go spend time with your family, go do the things that you like, all right, your hobbies, fishing, reading, walking your dog, whatever it is. And then I would say find one or two things that you would like to do.
And if you were an AD and you have a student who is potentially good enough to make it to NFL, CFL, what are you going to tell them?
If I'm the AD, I'm going to tell them, you're great at your sport. You may possibly be the best ever, but it doesn't last forever. And that's, it doesn't last forever. It doesn't matter what you do. It's not going to last forever. You still need to have some type of fallback plan, but also a future plan. I don't even like to say fallback plan.
Yeah, I don't like that either.
I don't like fallback. Exactly, right? Like we're on the same wavelength. Like, it's not a fallback plan. It's what's your future plans for when you're done.
What's your second life?
What's your second life when you're done killing the game?
Yeah.
And that way it's encouraging, right? You're not saying that they're going to be bad or do whatever. You're just saying that it's going to end at some point.
100%. And you want to get everything out of it that you can.
Exactly.
Everything,
And and I think that's important. Like the AD role be an AD, I think would be just so satisfying. You're working with the youth, you're working with kids in sports, and they're really influenced at that age. Mm-hmm. And also hard-headed, because I think about when I was 21 years old.
Yeah, bro, I'm still hard-headed.
Yeah, exactly. I think about when I was 20 years old, I wasn't hearing nothing.
Yeah.
So, I feel like if I could come in and talk to kids and relate to them, but also guide them and show them as an example, it does a lot. I used to coach, train kids, strength training, and I had a U12 team, man. And some of those kids, I had one kid, he was 300 pounds. I saw him the other day.
At 12?
Well, yeah, basically. Yeah, he was about 250. Now he's shredded. He's in 9th, 10th grade, 11th grade, rocked up, dude. And he would always just, and he came up to me one day and was like, Arjen, I want you to let you know, you made an impact on my life and my physical. And I could tell you that I would rather that kid tell me that than me catch an interception in a game. Mm-hmm. There's so much fulfillment in teaching and guiding and watching someone grow. And I think that's kind of where I get my passion. And that's why I love sports so much. Because when you watch someone, they're raw and then they become this great athlete. It's amazing. It's the growth, it's the work, the consistency. It's, so yeah, I would love to do something like that.
Well said, man. Well said. Well, we've come to our final three. That's the game we like to play. We'll call this field goal because you get 3 points. So you can answer any of the following questions or statements that I'm about to make with one word or one sentence. Okay. You ready to play?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah.
Are you a hungry dog? Because hungry dogs run faster.
They do.
I'm going to say that forever now. Question 1. Football is?
Tough.
When people hear the name Arjen Colquhoun, what do you want them to think?
Good guy.
If you could tell the younger you, the one that started off your pro career, what would you say?
Save your money.
Well, Arjen,
actually, I'd say save your money. Yeah.
Yeah, it's smart. Arjen, this was great. You are our first football player that we've had on here, but you're so profound. You got a lot of gems that you said, and I think this is exactly what people to hear. You're very well spoken. I have no doubt you will be exactly where you want to be. Just a matter of time, man. So thank you so much for doing this.
Appreciate it. I do want to shout out Shift Group.
Yes.
And MLSC as well. If you are an athlete, Shift Group, it's based out of Boston. If you're ending your college career or ending your professional career, what they do is they basically teach you how to do tech sales. You'll do cold calling, emailing, basically learning the realm of tech sales. And you look for a job as a BDR after an introduction role at one of these companies. So they do a great job. My friend Matt Muller, he was with me at Michigan State, and JD, the CEO, they do a great job over there. So if you guys are interested and you are Canadian, it doesn't matter. They work with Canadians as well. And honestly, I would love to probably build a bigger footprint in Canada. So anyone interested, go to LinkedIn, message me on my Instagram. I could tell you a little bit more. Shift Group. Another one, Sales Development Academy, Maple Leaf Sports Entertainment. If you watch the podcast, that's kind of how I came up in the ticket sales realm. And they do a great job. Brittany Pagnallo right now and Dan Miller are running it, and they'll teach you same thing as tech sales, outbound calling, cold calls, how to host people, how to close a deal. And I think these skills are really important. I think it's something that athletes can learn really fast because a lot of the traits are transferable. So if you're an athlete and you're looking to get into a sports sales role at MLSC, or you're looking to get into tech sales or any type of sales, feel free to hit me up or hit up my man Warren.
No, don't hit me. Listen, he's the host now. He's amazing. You don't need me at all. I'm irrelevant. You heard it here first. No, that was amazing. Well said, man. Yeah. Thank you so much. I appreciate you being here. Hey guys, if you like this episode, I have a really good feeling you're gonna like the other one. So if you could,